Brothers and sisters, today we will see Exodus chapters 3 and 4. Exodus 3 tells the story of Moses' encounter with God at the burning bush. One day, while Moses was tending to his father-in-law's flock, he led the sheep to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There, he noticed a bush that was on fire but not burning up. Curious, Moses approached the bush, and God called out to him from within it, saying, "Moses, Moses!" Moses responded. And God told him not to come any closer and to remove his sandals because he was standing on holy ground. God identified himself as the God of Moses' ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and revealed that he had seen the suffering of the Israelites in Egypt. God promised to deliver them from their oppression and bring them to a land flowing with milk and honey. God instructed Moses to go to Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, and demand that he let the Israelites go. Moses was hesitant and doubted his ability to fulfill such a monumental task. He asked God, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" But God assured Moses that he would be with him every step of the way. God promised to give Moses a sign that would confirm his presence and guidance. He also revealed his divine name, saying, "I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you." God gave Moses specific instructions on what to say and assured him that the Israelites would listen to him. Moses was to gather the elders of Israel and tell them that God had appeared to him and had a plan to rescue them from Egypt. Exodus 3 teaches us about the faithfulness and power of God. It shows us that God sees the suffering of his people and is moved to take action. It also reveals how God calls and equips individuals to fulfill his purposes, even when they feel inadequate. The encounter at the burning bush marks the beginning of Moses' transformative journey and sets the stage for the liberation of the Israelites from Egypt. Exodus 4 continues the story of Moses and his encounter with God at the burning bush. Moses was still hesitant and doubtful about his ability to speak before Pharaoh and convince him to let the Israelites go. So, he asked God for a sign to demonstrate his power and assurance. God asked Moses what he had in his hand, and Moses replied, "A staff." God instructed him to throw it on the ground. As Moses did so, the staff turned into a snake. But when God told Moses to pick it up by the tail, it turned back into a staff. To further reassure Moses, God told him to put his hand inside his cloak. When he took it out, his hand was covered with leprosy. Then God told him to put his hand back inside his cloak, and when he took it out again, his hand was completely healed. God also told Moses that if the Israelites did not believe him after these signs, he could take water from the Nile River and pour it on the ground, and it would turn into blood. Despite these signs, Moses was still hesitant and pleaded with God, saying that he was not eloquent in speech. But God assured Moses that he would help him speak and would teach him what to say. God also told Moses that his brother Aaron, who was a skilled speaker, would accompany him and speak on his behalf. Aaron would serve as Moses' spokesperson, while Moses would be like God to Aaron, sharing God's words with him. Encouraged by these assurances, Moses returned to his father-in-law, Jethro, and asked for permission to go back to Egypt to see his relatives. Jethro granted his request, and Moses set out on his journey, taking his wife and sons with him. Exodus 4 teaches us about God's patience and provision. It shows us that God understands our doubts and fears and provides us with the reassurance and support we need to fulfill his purposes. It also emphasizes the importance of trusting in God's guidance and relying on his strength rather than our own abilities. Through the signs and the appointment of Aaron, God equipped Moses for the challenging task ahead, the liberation of the Israelites from Egypt. Dear brothers and sisters, we will continue the next chapters in the next video. Stay blessed. Amen. Kindly subscribe and share. Thank you and good night.